Who would you rather play in the first round of the 2021 NFL playoffs? We're going to answer that question right here, right now. I'm Evan Lazar for CLNS Media, coming to you from Gillette Stadium, where the Patriots are wrapping up their regular season by traveling down to Miami to take on the Miami Dolphins. And although we will need to see what happens around the AFC playoff picture on Sunday afternoon, the Patriots should have a pretty good feel for who they are going to play on Wild Card Weekend once they conclude their game against the Dolphins, kicking off at 4:25 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. So if you're New England, who would you rather play on Wild Card Weekend? Let's go over the two most likely opponents. There are 9 permutations that could possibly happen for the Patriots. They could finish anywhere from the top seed in the AFC all the way to the 7th seed in the AFC. So you just have to wait and see how it all shakes out. But the two opponents that are most likely for the Pats are obviously the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. And although we saw how things went against the Bills a couple weeks ago here at Gillette Stadium, I actually would rather play the Bills than the Bengals. And here's why. Buffalo, you know who they are. You're extremely familiar with them as a divisional opponent. It will be the 3rd time around for the Patriots against the Bills this season, but it really feels like the 2nd time, that these two teams played. It feels like Week 16 was almost the first one, just because of the conditions that the Patriots and the Bills played in Buffalo in that Monday Night Football game earlier this season. So when I look at the Bills, I see an opponent that the Patriots know pretty well, and they know their fastball. They know what they're going to bring to the table in their best possible game plan against New England. It's going to be a lot of those over routes or crossing patterns on offense, Josh Allen creating and improvising outside the pocket. All the things that we saw Buffalo do in that game where they drove into the red zone 7 times against New England was as good of a game script and as perfect of a plan as the Bills could have possibly come up with. And on defense, inside leverage, man coverage, hugging up against the checkdowns, all those elements as well really shut the Patriots down in the first half, but they were able to move the football in the second half against the Bills. They had those 2 touchdown drives in the 3rd quarter that got them back into the football game. So I look at the Patriots being able to adjust to what the Bills did the last time out and give a pretty good chance to Bill Belichick and his coaching staff to come up with a better game plan for what the Bills did in Week 16. I think they will play Josh Allen better. I think Allen can't possibly play any better against the Patriots than he did the last time out. And defensively, the Patriots against the Buffalo defense, now that they know the blueprint that the Bills are going to go with to shut down Mac Jones and the Patriots passing game, I am sure that Josh McDaniels will have plenty of answers. As for the Bengals, I don't like the matchup at all for Cincinnati against the Patriots defense. Although it feels like Joe Burrow is a young quarterback, Zach Taylor is a young football coach, they don't have playoff experience, they don't have playoff mettle, the Patriots, I think, would have a tough time matching up against the Cincinnati skill players. Sure, you might like the matchup of J.C. Jackson on rookie Jamar Chase, but you also have to worry about Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon out of the backfield, and CJ Uzomah, who's a pretty solid tight end catching passes as well. So you look at all the plethora of options that they have in Cincinnati. You don't know them very well. You haven't gone up against Burrow before. You haven't gone up against this Burrow-Chase duo. How exactly would the Patriots match up in a game against Cincinnati? Do you go man? Do you go zone? That one feels like they'd have to feel it out a whole lot more. I like the Patriots going into a game against Buffalo knowing exactly what they have to do differently from the last time out and having to figure out Cincinnati on the fly. And when I watched that game against Kansas City last week for the Bengals, I was extremely impressed with Joe Burrow's ability to adapt in the second half to some of the things that Kansas City was doing against him. So I think Bill Belichick could come in with a great plan, but you're only going to shut down Burrow and Chase for so long, and those two guys just have a whole lot of explosiveness. And if the Patriots are going to play man coverage against Buffalo, against Cincinnati, the Bengals are very deep at the wide receiver position, deeper in my mind at this stage than the Bills are. Sure, the Buffalo Bills have Stephon Diggs. We saw what Isaiah McKenzie did last time against the Patriots, but I think the Pats will draw up a better plan of how to handle receivers out of the slot against Buffalo the 3rd time around. As for the Bengals, try to figure out how you match up against those three receivers, the back out of the backfield. There are a lot of weapons in Cincinnati. I know it sounds like you'd rather go with the inexperience and Bill Belichick against Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow, but I like the Patriots' odds of figuring it out and knowing how to beat the Buffalo Bills than a feel-out game against Cincinnati, where I think you might find yourselves in a shootout faster than what you would against the Buffalo Bills. Either way, two tough opponents the Patriots will likely play on Wild Card Weekend. That's how things go this time of year. There's no cupcakes going into the AFC playoffs for the Patriots. We will have you covered all week long down here at Gillette Stadium and on Sunday for Patriots Dolphins, and of course, playoff coverage back in New England. Feels good to be able to cover a playoff game again, and we will have you completely covered on Wild Card Weekend wherever the Patriots travel to face either the Bills, the Bengals, or whoever in the first round of the NFL playoffs. So keep it right here on Patriots Press Pass. I'm Evan Lazar for CLNS Media. Thanks for watching.